to draw names in One Point Perspective, you have to know how to draw block letters. Now, some of your letters can have curves at the top, but it's easier if you'll start with having them all basic block letters. So I laid them out to kind of get them started to make this a little faster for you. And the A, you can do your A's with the point. You can do your M's with a point, your N's with a point. It's just that they will look a little better the more edges and faces that they have. So to do the A, all I did was draw up and over like I would if I was doing the type that's really an upside down V. And then you just do your inside areas and you create a center. To do a B, you just write a regular B and then you draw D's in the middle. To do C's, you write a regular C and then you do a parallel line around it and you complete it by closing off your ends. Your D, you do the same thing. You write your D and then you draw a small one into the center of that. E's are tricky, F's are tricky, and probably one of the easier ways to do those is to draw rectangles first. That just includes, though, that you have to do your you have to erase. And if you'll notice, I'm lining up where my ends are supposed to be. That way they'll be the same. And then you just put a small square or rectangle in the middle, and then you just erase the parts that you don't need. That way you have a clean space. F's are the same way. You can start with your F the way you would normally do it, but it's again, basically it's just rectangles. You could draw the individual rectangles or you could make them like this, and then you add your centerpiece. G's are like your C's. You're gonna draw like a C, put your little tail on it, do your inside, same small thing. Then you bring down the outsides, you connect them. G's have to have a rectangle on the top, and sometimes you may want this section on there and sometimes you may not. That's up to you. H's again would be rectangles. So I set up just the outside edge of those. You do your two, that's too big. Do your two rectangles and then you just connect them in the middle with another rectangle. Erase the lines that you don't need. You can, of course, free form that if you wish as well. This is just one way to do it that makes it a little simpler. Of course, your eye, again, we're dealing with rectangles. If you'll line up, or I started with the top and the bottom so I'd know they'd be the same. Then I'm drawing my rectangles, and then I'll have a rectangle in the middle. So I have the choice to go all the way over, or I have a choice to stop. J's, rectangle on top. You can close it off or leave it open, and then you do a large J with a small J. If you do the rectangle and you close it up all the way over, then you have to erase. JK, IJK. Now, K's are pretty tricky because they have those two legs on them. So I'm going to start with my rectangle, and then somewhere about in the middle, I'm going to do another one that goes this way. You can make these where they're too big. As you can see, that one's probably coming out that way, and you just have to play with it till you get it the way you want it, if you have to, or you are drawing a K. L is one L. You draw your regular L, and you draw a small L in the middle, connect your edges. Now, I told you the M's are letters that you can do like that if you want it, but the more edges you have, the better it will look when you connect. So I started with my outside lines. I did a horizontal line across. I did the V in the middle, and then you just do a parallel. It's a small version of that on the inside. You have a choice to make it straight, or you can do a regular M that we normally write that looks like that, and then connect your edges. N's and S's are probably two of the harder letters. So I started my N as if I had my straight horizontal, and then I had my little V here. You have to keep this short. When we draw an N, they connect on the bottom. When you do a block letter, you have to change that up, and you make kind of a weird looking V, and then you draw over, and then you just connect. O is a big O, little O. P, you write a P, has a D in the middle, and then your rectangle on the outside. A Q, big O, little O, and then you have your slanted rectangle for that, and you erase the lines that you don't need. Then you have your R, you write it. I wouldn't have it touch, but you can. Your D, and parallel up against both of those. S's, again, are probably the hardest. I'll come back to that one. Your T is like your I, rectangle on top, and rectangle down the middle, wide as you want it. U is just a big U and a little u. You can leave it like that, or you can add the extra part there if you want. Those are options, and then just connect. V is a large V, a small V, and you connect. W is like your M, just upside down. So you have the choice. This one I made a little wider, and I wanted you to see the difference between having it this direction versus having the bottom, or in that case, the top. So parallel, that's all you do. Just keep it equal distance apart. If you'll line your ruler up, you can straighten that out. X is two rectangles. You can make them spread out, you can make them small, you can make them fat, you can make them skinny. I'm going to change the angle of that. And then, of course, you would erase what's in the middle. Y is a rectangle down the middle with a V on top. You can make that any angle that you want as well if you're doing that. That is terrible. Z are like your N. Now, I wrote it like that, but I'm going to change that up, and I'm going to bring this down here, slant this over. So think about it as if you turn it and you did an N sideways, because that's really kind of what it is. So that might be easier if you think about it or turn your paper, not that you'll be doing a Z anytime soon. And then you have your rectangle on the outside, rectangle here, parallel line. And you can see how that came out uneven, and that's very common with that because it's like your S, and I have to go back and do that one in just a second. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to fix that later. All right, your S, normally when you do a block S, even if it's a bubble S, you start with your normal curve. You have to shorten this part because we normally write it like that and it's equal. But when you're doing block or bubble letters, you have to stop it short and then you have to come back around to get it to come out. So I set it up like this. I'm gonna come back around and then curve that, and then I just play with it until I get it the way I want it, because inevitably we'll get it where we draw this section, we'll have it too far down and it'll drop way below, okay? Block letters. All right, you have the option to put your vanishing point wherever you want. So your horizon line can be at the top of your paper here. Your vanishing point can be on the right. Your vanishing point can be on the left. That's up to you. If you draw your horizon line at the top of your paper, then your letters, you will see the top of your letters. If you draw your horizon line at the bottom and you put your vanishing point again anywhere you want it, including in the middle, then you will see the bottom of your letters. All right, so I went ahead and set one up, and I just used Vikings. You can use whatever word that you want. I have my block letters already set up. What you're gonna wanna do first, though, is you're gonna wanna draw a line. Remember, if you'll line your ruler up on the end of the paper, hold it in the middle and draw. You can always do that this direction as well. But you want your letters to be the same height. So you can do that, the width of the ruler. I did mine almost 2 inches. So you could easily draw one line and then come over, do a tick mark, and line your ruler up on that and make your second mark. But whatever you do your horizon line and your vanishing point first. Then you're gonna draw your top of the line where your top of your letters are gonna go, and you're gonna make another line so that they're equal where the bottom of those letters are gonna go. Then the process is the same as you did with your 1-point perspective. You're gonna put your ruler on your vanishing point. I'll leave it straight until I turn my paper when I work. And again, make a decision where you want those to go. For practice purposes, if you wanna go all the way to the vanishing point and stop, that's fine. And then you try to find every one you want. Now, you also want all of your letters to stop and start in the same place. You also have to check anything on the inside, and you check everything on the outside. Now, when you do the outside, they're going to run into other shapes. So I'm going to take this back off and not have them be quite that long. And then we know that this is going to stop. I guess I'll stop it here. Then I have to do my back. And then we line up here and we come over just like we were doing with shapes. All right, let me do a couple of more. So again, you kind of want your letters to be about the same depth when you're doing names in perspective. You pick any corners that you have. You check every corner of every part of your letter. So again, one of the things you may want to do, which you may not be able to do depending on the size of your paper, is how deep you make them. So I can still take this back here if I wanted to. I can bring my V back anymore.